Stuart, obviously a real big blow for you this week about losing Mika for so long. How do you cope with that now? Do you maybe go back into the transfer market? Is it that serious that you have to do that?
Yeah, listen, it's a huge blow. I think everybody could see that Mika was starting to get up to speed. Question marks are why does he not start? He never started the game because he wasn't ready to start the game. But what he'd done was he'd showed a real good impact in a couple of games that he'd came on. Obviously the Hibs one being the main game, obviously getting his assist and his goal. But it's a massive blow to us. I've always spoken about trying to run with 4 strikers minimum. And on that basis, it's kind of my mindset of what I think works here at the football club and what works for me as a coach and manager. So that is a huge blow, obviously, with the news of Mika and the news of John Obika. Then that puts us down to 2 senior strikers in Theo and Connor. So it's a difficult one, but it doesn't change the situation for me. I think I've been really clear on this from day one and even last season that for us to bring in any more players or do any more business, then it's literally we are kind of in a situation where it's 1 in, 1 out. So that's how I sit just now.
Did Barry Maguire's departure last week, did that open the door?
Yeah, it might help us. It might help us try and get one across the line. It might help us in that situation. But that mindset wasn't that it was in striker position at the time. Obviously, we have been working away on something else, trying to get a balance to our squad. The fact that Harry Payton's been out, the fact that Pape Souare's out and will continue to be out. Then it's a little bit of spinning plates at the minute to make sure that we've got a balance to our squad. I keep speaking about that. If truth be told, we don't have great numbers as it sits just now. I think when I was looking at the start of the week, we had 14 fit senior players, if you like. I think if you look at the bench against St Mirren at the weekend, I think we had 2 16-year-olds, a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old on our bench, which kind of suggests to you that there's a real lack of experience in that, young exciting players and guys that we want to develop and we want to help try and forge a career in the game. But it's not the ideal situation.
How is John Obika, perhaps is there a time frame for him?
Yeah, so we probably feel that Pape will miss several games. I can't give you an exact time on that, but certainly for the medical guys, they feel he'll miss. He's missed that game at the weekend. We feel he's probably going to miss another few at least. And John Obika, we're probably looking at December is the kind of outline for him as well. So when you add in the 3 months that we've been that has been signified for Mika Biereth, then quite clearly it's been a huge blow over the last 7 days or so as to what we were working towards and what we were trying to do. We don't start crying about it, we don't start feeling sorry for ourselves, but I think it's a clear indication to everyone that it's been a real tough week, and it's a tough week without a blank canvas to just to be able to pick up the reins and just go and bring in what you want, bring players in that you think will help you. But listen, we'll continue to work away and try and see if we can make the situation slightly better, so that when I get to a match day that I've got a few options, both in terms of my starting 11 but also what we can do making changes.
What did you learn from your players from last weekend, Stuart, at the St Mirren game?
In terms of what they do in possession, character, what
attitude going forwards into the league.
Yeah, I think I never seen anything any different from what I've seen before. I think that this massive knee jerk that we see, as I speak about all the time, in Scottish football, and we lost a game of football. It hurt me probably more than it did anybody else. I can assure you that. I think if you ask my family, my missus and my kids, and you don't speak to them for a couple of days, then that probably signifies how hard you take it. But you know what? It's the players have been excellent. Let's not kid ourselves here. We weren't at our best on Saturday. We lost to a good team. We always knew it was going to probably be a game where 1 goal would be the difference. And I think that what I can indicate to people is that as frustrated as I was, by the time we got into the dressing room after the game, the players knew that they have been so much better through a stretch of time. So I need to highlight things. I need to make sure that they understand why they were poor. But when you work with decent professionals and guys that are as honest as the day's long, then they almost beat you to the point themselves. So we're not going to make excuses. We weren't good enough in the game to, I said it after the game, St Mirren deserved to win the game because they won the game. Simple as that. I'm not making any excuses. I know I was pretty upset with a couple of things that happened in the game. That wasn't to suggest that if those had changed then we might have won the game. It's just in terms of getting that clarity and making sure that we get to the correct decisions in games, and obviously the collateral damage is that we have a player out for a substantial period of time as well. But no, listen, the players, I don't think anybody could argue with me that since February the group of players that are here and have been sort of before and into last season haven't given us absolutely everything that they've got. I'm sure people acknowledge that, hence why we've been on such a good run. And the focus now just comes back onto the league. We knew that the cup game would be slightly different and that it's a one-off game. We come up short on the day, stick our hands up to it, we acknowledge it, but I do believe that we have a group that will come back with a good reaction on Saturday.
Kelly, this weekend, have you been impressed with their start to the season?
Yeah, they've done excellent, haven't they? I think they've invested really well. They've freshened up their squad. I spoke to Derek in the summer, and I know there was a lot of changes there in terms of players going out and obviously looking to have a pretty big overhaul of the squad. And it looks as if in the early parts of it they've got it right. You know, it looks as if they've brought in some real good quality, some good energy in their team. I was at the game on Sunday. Thought they were excellent, thought they were worth their win, and when you put in the factor that they've played against arguably the three biggest clubs in the country, and they're undefeated, then I think that they've started really well, which again signifies how difficult the game's going to be for us on Saturday. But you know, I'm fairly certain again that Derek will acknowledge that we're in a pretty rich vein of form, albeit with a poor week last week and we lost a game of football. I think he'll acknowledge that we've been in a decent place as well. So I think it's two teams that again sit with a pretty positive mindset and that are in a relatively good place. So I would hope that everyone will see a decent contest and two clubs that are trying to ideally take themselves out of the position that they found themselves in last season, trying to pitch beyond that sort of languishing bottom end of the table and trying to see if we can sort of progress a few places from maybe where we found ourselves last season. I know it ended up pretty good for us in the end, finishing 7th, but I'm sure Derek's mindset will be that he wants a little bit more than being involved in that relegation battle, if you like, and I'm fairly certain on Saturday you'll see that from both sides.
Just to go back to the challenge on Mika last week, Stuart, there's been a bit of debate about the tackle, and Charles has come out publicly and apologised to Mika. I just wondered if you've seen it any more and if your opinion on it has changed at all since? No,
my opinion hasn't changed. I think one of the things that I'd heard at one point was he won the ball. I think what everybody needs to understand here, and again I need to stress this isn't my rules. I think anybody that watched me play football will realise that I was a guy that picked up more red cards than anybody else, that was involved in more crazy challenges than anybody else. But the rules have changed. You know, I've lost count how many times I've been told by officials it doesn't matter if you win the ball. So again, not to vindicate my reaction after the game, but I have heard that comment, but it's won the ball. You know, if you're off the ground, you're coming in with momentum, at pace, putting an opponent player in at risk of injury, all these types of things, coming off the ground, all of those aspects, then I was led to believe that was a red card. I've not changed my mind on it, I won't change my mind on it. So again, I hear some of the ridiculous arguments of, but he's took the ball. If you have to come through the player and both your legs are wrapped round the standing leg, then Willie didn't have the benefit of VAR to go back and have a look at it and all of that. I totally understand that, and it's heat of the moment in a cup tie, I get it. But again, I refer back to myself where I didn't change the rules. It wasn't me. Those tackles in the past were fine. They were okay. As I say, I've picked up red cards for a lot of similar situations in the past, and tackles were a massive part of the game. Flying in, trying to leave something on your opponent, and all the rest of it. Again, I hold my hands up. I was that guy. That was what I had done. That was how I tried to forge a career out of the game. But again, I've lost count how many times people have told me that that's not acceptable in the game anymore. So it's not me being precious in any way, shape or form. I'm trying to follow the guidelines of what I've been told. We sit in meetings with referees, they show us clips, we have instances in games where we come back and we talk about them and we're instructed why. And probably the easiest way for me to sum it up is, in the modern game, if one of my players made that challenge, then I would expect him to receive a red card. I'd be surprised if he didn't. I really would be surprised if he didn't. So I need to park it now. I always said this, not to try and drag it on for days and days and days. The fact of the matter is, I'm missing a striker that I was really excited about, the club was really excited about, and we're missing him for a substantial period of time. I understand that Charles Dunne's reached out and apologised for the outcome of the challenge and all that sort of stuff. So I tip my cap to him and say fair play in that sense. But you know, it doesn't change the situation that it leaves us short on the front end of the park, which is the overriding fact from a player that's come in from a big club that they were looking to try and see if he could hit the ground running and go and make strides in his career. And unfortunately, there's going to be a delay to that. But you know, Mika's got a real good mind frame. He's got a real good attitude where he realises he needs to go through his rehab now and work towards coming back here and seeing if he can get back as quick as possible, which probably looks like sometime mid-November.
I just wanted to ask you quickly as well about Lennon Miller making a step up to the under-19s team for the first time. Good recognition for him.
Yeah, he's. I think he deserves it. I think I had a wee look at the squad again this morning, and there's some lads out there playing first team football, which is really positive for the game. Lennon's one of those. He's played a lot of game time. And again, maybe one or two raise an eyebrow as to why he doesn't start in our team on Saturday. I think if people understand how to work with young players and understand how that process can look sometimes, then you have to be cautious and you have to be careful in the minutes that they play. He's played an awful lot of minutes over pre-season and in the competitive action, so I'm delighted that he's got that call. I had a wee indication that might be the case some time back, but as I say, you've got the likes of Watson from Kilmarnock and boys that are playing on a regular basis and about it, so it bodes well for the game. I think Lennon deserves it, and I know that he's going into work with somebody that's so well respected for me with Billy Stark as well, so that's a good formula and something for him to look forward to, and hopefully he has a good wee run at it in the next couple of games before he gets to that camp.
Can I just ask, are there any players who maybe are surplus to requirements that you think might leave before the end of next week?
It's not so much being surplus to requirements. It's if I was being really selfish here, I would want to probably keep everybody with the numbers that we've got. But again, like I said at the start, to address the balance and try and get players in specific areas, which I think is going to help us. I'm not going to be in a position to carry 3-4 players of one sort of one dimension and what we might already have in our group. So that's where it comes that the potential of players moving only comes off the back of trying to see if I can redress that balance. If I need another striker or if I need another wide player or whatever it might be, then you know, everybody's on the table at this point to try and redress that balance that we currently have, which isn't quite right.
And for somebody like Mark Ferry, I don't know if you were maybe thinking of putting him out on loan. Does he now have to stay? Does he now have to be one of your 4 strikers for the next 3 years?
Yeah, Mark came on the pitch on Saturday. Again, the age that he's at, 17, going on 18, then he's very much striker number 3 as it sits just now. He's profiled as a young lad that we think has a future, but as it stands just now, as I say, with 2 fit senior strikers, and Mark now sort of becomes number 3.